What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Saturdays in the SEC, episode 156. Back to recap a really entertaining and wild week five of college football. Obviously, one of the best slates of the year coming in. We talked about last week, had marquee games all over the board this week. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to start in Oxford with Ole Miss LSU. We talked about this game last week. Any other week would have been a premier game in prime time. This game was at 2:30. We both liked Ole Miss in this game, and I really thought the game turned out about like I thought. I know you predicted going in potentially double digits, and to be honest, I felt like this game is what the score should have been. Honestly, I thought the score was closer than what the game ended up being. What was your takeaway from this game?
100%. I mean, we called it like we saw it. This was no surprise to me. And like we said, both defenses were really good, but we had more faith in Ole Miss's offense than we did LSU's offense. 100%. If Ole Miss doesn't fumble right there on the 2-yard line, they score a touchdown probably 1-2 plays later. And it's a 2-possession game there at the end, not a 5-point game. So I think that, exactly how it played out is what I expected. Just LSU's offense, man. That there's nothing there. They cannot run the football for seems like the third year in a row. The passing game really hasn't been great. Nussmeier hasn't been great. I know he's a little nicked up, but if he's so hurt that he's hurting the team, bench him. Like, don't play him. I'm tired of hearing that excuse. If he's that hurt, don't play him. If he's putting your team in a worse position, I don't want to hear that excuse. He's just not playing good football this year. I don't exactly know what it is. He's got time back there. Sometimes he's pressured. They got to him a couple times, but it's not like he's running for his life every single snap. He's making some bad throws, throwing some balls up. The ball that got intercepted was a bad pass. He's a completely different quarterback this year. I know he's a little banged up, but again, I'm tired of that excuse because if he's so hurt, he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, like you said, is several years in a row now they can't run the football, which is obviously, I mean, based on recent history, not a big surprise. But it's like that's not the type of problem you expect out of LSU. I mean, with this passing game, the weapons you have, the quarterback you have, you think you would be able to run it a little bit better than you have, but it's just not happening. It's just not clicking at all. Like you said, we talked about this. Like, this was a game you're going to have to really score some points. Like, you weren't going to be able to win this game, 17-10 like you did against Clemson, or count on 5 interceptions like you got against Florida. This was a much better offense. Obviously Ole Miss didn't light up the scoreboard necessarily, only 24 points at the end. But really, like I said, you had a fumble going in the end zone on the 2-yard line. They still had 480 yards of offense, basically. So I think they doubled LSU up in total yardage. So to me, it not a blowout by any means, but it wasn't. I don't think it was necessarily as close as the scoreboard indicated. I really liked the matchup with Trinidad Chambliss and his mobility. I thought that paid off a lot, not just with some scrambles, but being able to extend plays and keep his eyes down the field. And I thought he hit a couple times. He got out of trouble and was able to get to the outside, make a throw down the field, and kind of extend some drives. So Ole Miss obviously ran the football much better than LSU did. Let me see the total rushing yardage.
170 to 59.
Yeah, 170 59. So, I felt confident about Ole Miss. And again, I know we've had some LSU people, on us a little bit. I know they've been a little bit sensitive lately, not just to us, but to others as well, about the offense. And it's no disrespect. Like, LSU's still a really, really good football team. There's no doubt about it. But they have flaws offensively right now, and they just haven't been able to work through them. And I don't know if they have the personnel. Like, I don't think they're gonna run the ball good anytime this year. Probably. Like, I don't think it's something on the fly that's gonna be changed, in the next 2 months or so. I think it kind of is what it is now. Caden Durham is out, but I don't think that has like a super big impact on it. I mean, they weren't running the ball great with him either. So, I think it kind of just is what it is. Hopefully, they can continue to improve a little bit where you're not putting so much pressure on your defense. But, I mean, the defense, has stepped up. They're definitely much improved on defensively, but they still have some flaws. And like I said, I'm not sure it's going to be rectified. Still think they can have a good season. For sure, I think they're going to be in pretty much every game they play in. But, it was people really just telling the truth about what they were seeing with their offense. And that was my big question coming into the game is, they haven't really, played. They hadn't scored great on Clemson, Florida, which have two good defenses. Their defense held pretty good against Ole Miss, but they did give up a lot of yards. That's what I was curious to see coming in. But I thought it played out about like we thought, and a really, really big win for Ole Miss.
100%. If you're LSU, you're expecting to win championships. Championship football teams, when their defense gets an interception and gives them a short field at the end of the game to go take the lead, their offense goes and scores and takes the lead. Or brings it within 3 points, whatever it would have been there. Still, that was a huge point in the game. LSU had all the momentum there. They had a short field, got down to the 30, stalled out, had to kick a field goal. Championship winning football teams don't do that. I'm not so surprised that if the first touchdown of the game, the fluke little tip pass that was caught, I'm not sure if they don't catch that right there, that they don't have to settle for 3 there. Ole Miss's defense, they sacked up and they answered every damn time this game. Had some turnovers, but the offense, man, they stuck with it. They stuck with it, and they got. Obviously, you think Lane Kiffin's going to throw the ball around. You're going to get your yards through the air with a Lane Kiffin offense, but they stuck with the ground game, and they were able to. 23 carries for Kevin Lacey, and Trinidad Chambers had 14 carries. So they stuck with the ground game, and it opened up their offense completely. I thought that it was a fantastic game plan. Shouldn't have been as close as it was, like we've covered. I think this Ole Miss team. Obviously, I did not pick them to win 9-10 ball games. I said they would win 8 ball games. I think this team is what everybody expected last year's Ole Miss team to be. I think they're a little bit better. There's not as many what you would call college football superstars in that locker room. And I think there's a little bit of more of a, grab my lunch pail and take it to work type mentality. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a lot of they don't feel like they deserve something. They're going to go out and earn it. I feel like there's no entitlement in this locker room, and I think it's shown in every game. They've been in some really close games, and they find a way to finish every time. That's a sign of a really, really good football team. You can win in many different ways, and so far they have. Hats off to them and what they did to LSU this weekend. Huge that it was at home. I still think the same outcome would have happened in Death Valley. But this Ole Miss team is for real, and I think they have a real chance to get in the playoffs. They control their destiny for sure. Still no losses. That you can afford one every now and then, but with the way they're playing, I don't see many coming on that schedule.
What was impressive to me too is how how they spread the receptions out. Chambliss had 23 completions to 9 different receivers. They had 6 receivers with 20 yards or more. So, it was just a really, really balanced day for them. Caden Lee, Wright, Alexander, Watkins, Odom, Lacey, Wallace all had over, multiple catches, over 20 yards. Like I said, 8 or 9 different pass catchers for Ole Miss. It's just such a, not one superstar, but, man, just such a balanced attack where you can't really key in on one guy. I feel like they have guys that obviously different skill sets, but they're almost interchangeable. Like they're almost on the same level. So it's like I said, it's not like one star that, you got to double cover him, man. They've got like 4, 5, or 6 like really, really good options to go to, guys that they feel comfortable in. And it was just a nice spread out attack. Like I said, the run game, the pass game, you just can't key in on one player or one aspect of their offense. And, a guy like Lane Kiffin, to win with your backup quarterback and win at a high level with 2 different guys, when you have other guys around the country who's had quarterbacks multiple years that can't show any improvement really. You look at James Franklin, you look at Dabo Swinney with Kay Klubnik and Drew Aller respectively. Like those guys have been in those programs for multiple years now, and they look stuck in the mud. And then Lane Kiffin goes and gets Trinidad Chambliss, and not even to be the starter, just to be a backup, and it's like plug and play, man. Like I can win with multiple guys in my system, and it does. It makes some other guys around the country just not look as good the way he's able to do it. And yeah, I'm been super super impressed with them. Like you said, everything's in front of them, and they obviously got some tough games down the stretch on the road, but no, they're sitting in a really nice position.
They call him the Portal King for a reason. He knows what he's doing in that portal. Lane Kiffin is a god when it comes to evaluating talent out of transfer portal. Moving on to probably the game that everybody was looking forward to this weekend. Bama goes into Georgia. Georgia's got a 33-game home win streak. Bama's ended every win streak of any kind that Georgia's had since Kirby's been there. Bama is Georgia's kryptonite in the last 10 meetings. Georgia only has one win. Now, it was a big win. It was a national championship win, but they have lost 9 other times, 2 now being back-to-back to Kalen DeBoer. It seems like, there's a real issue there when it comes to Alabama and Georgia. If you're on the Georgia side of the ball, I'm seeing some people on Twitter talking about, can you even call it a rivalry at this point? Honestly, no, you can't call it a rivalry at this point when it's 1-9. However, both of these teams are great teams. Both teams left points out there on the field. This game could have gone in many different directions. Georgia gives Alabama the ball on the short side of the field after a fumble. Shot themselves in the foot there. They don't convert on a 4th and 1. Defense made a fantastic play and blew the play up, but he doesn't convert there, so gets a turnover. You drop a wide open touchdown pass for Georgia that would have taken the lead. However, like 2 or 3 possessions earlier, Alabama drops a wide open touchdown pass that would have absolutely blown the game open. So this game was extremely good. First half, I was talking to Cam before we started recording. The first half, or this game reminded me of last year's game, obviously much lower scoring, but it reminded me of it in the sense that Alabama dominated the first half, Georgia dominated the second half. Alabama dominated the first half of this year's game, and Georgia dominated the second half. They just couldn't quite capitalize on offense there in the end. In the second half, Bama didn't score a point. They had an opportunity, missed a field goal. But Georgia, they made their adjustments. I feel like Kirby is the best in-game coach that there is when it comes to making adjustments and working on the fly. He's probably the best to do that. He shows it week in and week out. Showed it against Tennessee. Showed it this weekend against Alabama. It's just their offense was not able to get going. And Alabama's offense, even when they weren't scoring points, they were piecing nice drives together. I think they had 6 or more drives. I think they had 6 drives of 8 plays or more. First 2 drives being a 14-play and a 14-play, I think, or a 12-play touchdown drive. I mean, from the jump, Bama just took off to the races. Looked, flawless. Both, the scripted drives or whatever, the first drive you run usually looks pretty good. I mean, the first 2 drives of the game, it was like they were running on air, man. It looked beautiful. Ty Simpson, he is the real deal for sure. He figured it out and made the right calls or made the right adjustments after week 1 of Florida State. He reevaluated himself, and he's been off to the races ever since then. He looked really, really good. Defense played really well. Like I said, forced that big turnover to get friendly field for the offense, was able to get some points out of it. So this game, both of these teams are going to be in it in the end. Both of these teams are going to be in the playoff hunt. Both of these teams are probably going to be in the playoffs. The whole season is in front of both of these teams. Last year, Georgia had some losses, lost this game, still won the SEC championship. Bama got better and better, had some losses here and there, but they were still a dominant team at the end of the year. I don't see them dropping those types of games the rest of this way. I think both of these teams are probably going to be playing each other in Atlanta for the bajillionth time, and I think they'll both end up in the playoffs. This was one of the best games of the last few years. I mean, fantastic. Had everything that you wanted. But the main takeaway for me, Georgia got to start faster, man. They've started slow, even in their mop up weeks, their early weeks when they were playing Marshall and Austin Peay. They started slow, man. Against Tennessee, started slow. Against Alabama, again, started slow. Once they get going, they're in it. But they have got to find a way to start out the gate, because you can't give an opponent, especially in the SEC that's coming up, you can't give opponents 2 or 3 possessions before you get going. You've got to come out of the gate swinging. And that was the biggest thing I've seen from Georgia so far this year, and they just weren't able to fight back from it and play the comeback role this week. Damn close, but they've got to start faster because this sputtering out of the gate is going to get them beat more times than not in the coming week.
Yeah, for sure. And, that's been the theme not only some in recent times, but in a lot of these games against Alabama, they've gotten down early. And it's just, even though they've been able to fight back, make these competitive games, it's so hard to dig yourself out of that hole in these kinds of games. Yeah, I agree what you said. I mean, Alabama's offense came out really hot. They've been really good at the scripted drives early in games. I mean, even at Florida State, as bad as that game went, they came out with a big drive to open the game. Same thing here. I think, like you said, I think Ty Simpson's obviously playing amazing football right now. I mean, as hot as anybody in the country and playing as good a football as anybody in the country currently. Just looking really comfortable. One of my keys for the game on last week's episode was I thought Bama had to have some semblance of balance, just enough. You weren't going to make a living doing it. I mean, running into the teeth of this defense is like sledgehammering concrete. I mean, you cannot get much going there. But I thought they did just enough. The total rushing number was 117, so I knew it was around 120. Like I said, I thought it was just enough. Only 3.1 yards per carry, so I mean that saying 3 yards in a cloud of dust was definitely the case here. But no, the takeaway for me is really Ty Simpson. I thought Ryan Grubb called a fantastic game. That play to seal it, the sprint out with the boot action off of it was just a thing of beauty. Throwing it out to Caden Proctor, in a goal or in the red zone, and let that bowling ball get down rolling downhill, man. I know it was unbelievable. I did not, when I saw him out wide, I was like, they're gonna bring him in motion or something. And I'll be damned, they flipped it out there to him, and man, that was one of my favorite highlights of the night. But no, just like I said, I mean, that's what you needed to see from Alabama is like, hey, can you go on the road? Can you handle some adversity? And they did that. I mean, if you can go on the road and win in between the hedges, you can win anywhere. I mean, 33-game winning streak, you can go toe-to-toe and beat anybody in the country, and I think they were able to prove that. Now, for me, it's just all about consistency. We know you can hang and beat the best in the country, but we've seen you at one of your worst. You can lose to a lot of teams. Now, obviously, Florida State took a loss last week. They're a good team, but it's like, man, when you're not playing your best, you can look really bad. We saw that last year. At their best, they could beat a Georgia, and at their worst, they could go on the road and look just flat out awful. So I think it's just about consistency, but going on the road and proving it was such a big thing. And what gives me confidence going forward is I think offensively with Ty Simpson, a much better fit for the system. I just think it's going to be a much more steady hand. With Jalen Milroe, his highs were super high, but when he was off, it was really low. And you had a lot of turnovers, and when you turn the ball over on the road, there's going to be a big variance in your performance. Like, when you're not turning it over, you're going to look great, but when you go on the road and turn it over, 3 or 4 times like they did 3 times last year, you're going to have that up and down type of performance, and I think they're going to be able to avoid that for the most part. I don't think it's going to be so up and down. It's going to be a little bit more steady, I think, for the most part, and I think, like I said, that'll take away some of those highs and lows, especially the lows quite as much. So that does give me more confidence. Looking ahead, though, I think defensively, they're real banged up on the defensive front. Quay Russaw has a foot injury. He's going to be out probably the rest of the regular season. I mean, he's going to be out an extended amount of time. You're already down a couple bodies on the defensive line. Tim Keenan's just coming back off of injury. So the offense is going to have to do some heavy lifting going forward, especially with the schedule they have coming up. But I mean, just super proud of that win. The way they were able to go prove it on the road that you haven't seen in a while outside the LSU game last year, and Yeah, I mean, like I said, kind of what you would expect out of both of these teams. Like you said, Georgia's going to be just fine too. They definitely left some money on the table, as both teams did. It wasn't a flawless game by any means, and I think they're going to be just fine. They'll learn and grow from it. I think in the passing game, I thought there were some opportunities that Gunnar Stockton missed. Alabama played a lot of zone coverage. He hit some of them, converted some big third downs. But I thought there were some that they should have had. They had the drop, too, that should have been a touchdown. Missed opportunity on both sides, but like I said, just felt like a heavyweight fight. And one stat for me that was kind of blew my mind is Alabama started so hot on third down. I think it was 8 of their first 8. Ended up converting 13 of 19. The most third down conversions Georgia's allowed in 30 years. I mean, that was like, whoa. Like, that kind of put into perspective. Like, yeah, you didn't light the scoreboard up from Alabama's offensive side, but it just goes to show you how well they executed for most of the night to be able to convert 13 third downs in Athens on this Georgia defense was extremely impressive.
100%. That is the takeaway stat. I mean, they completed more third downs than Georgia even attempted. They had the ball for 11 more minutes than Alabama did, so they were able to control the clock, especially in the second half. They leaned on the run game a little bit more. They leaned on the quick pass game a little bit more, and they were able to run the clock out and really just control the clock there late. But, yeah, 100%. The third down, just complete dominance. Like you said, starting 8 of 8. That is unheard of in SEC play, but especially against Georgia at Georgia. They were firing on all cylinders. They had a great plan going into it, and I thought that DeBoer probably coached one of his best games of his career so far.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a huge win. I mean, certainly the signature win of his Alabama tenure so far. And what people want to see, how are you going to respond after Florida State? We weren't really going to find that out till you went to Athens. You were able to answer this first test. And then we'll see how they handle it going forward. Obviously, as you've seen, you got to turn the page quickly, as we'll preview later on. But you got a really good Vanderbilt team and a bunch of ranked teams coming up. So we'll see kind of how they respond over the coming weeks.
Absolutely. Going down to College Station, Auburn goes into College Station. A&M comes out with a win, 16-10. A&M left a lot of meat on the bone in this game, had some touchdowns called back on penalties, missed some field goals, missed 2 field goals. This game shouldn't have even been close. Auburn had no business going in there and even putting up 10 because without a defensive interception that ran back to the 2, Auburn would have never put a touchdown on the board. A&M's defense played fantastic. Their defensive front was on Jackson Arnold all day. And it was Jackson Arnold still held him to the ball a little too long at times, and he made some bad decisions. But for the most part, the offensive line just got whipped flat out. Hugh Freeze ran away, didn't go with the run game. Auburn couldn't run the football. They didn't commit to running the football. A&M offensively was about as balanced as you could get. 200 rushing yards, 200 passing yards. But like I said, some of their drives stalled out. Had an interception on one drive. Missed some field goals, had some touchdowns called back, so they're fine. The score, 16-10, does not dictate how this game played out at all. Alabama was 13 of 18 on third downs against Georgia. Auburn was 0 of 15 on third down at College Station. Had 10 first downs, 0 of 15 on third downs, or 0 of 15 on third and fourth downs combined. I think they were 0 of 14 on third downs, something along those lines. Whatever it was, it's atrocious. Doesn't matter if you have one or more. Add one or take one away, doesn't matter. It's still bad. Got 1 yard of total offense in the fourth quarter. I mean, you had ample opportunity to drive down and take the lead, and you went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I think Auburn had 6 3 and outs in this game. So A&M's defense, I mean, absolutely played their tail off, lived in the backfield all day, didn't really allow Auburn to get anything going. So, I mean, there was, I believe, 6 3 and outs for Auburn. So A&M's defense was dominant this game. Auburn's defense, I would like to give a public apology to Auburn's defense because your talents are being wasted. You have nothing to compliment you on the other side of the football. Thank you for the 7 points on Saturday against Texas A&M, because if it was not for the defense, Auburn's would not have gotten 10 points. They would have had 3. So the defense is being absolutely wasted here. DJ Durkin is coaching his tail off. The problems that everybody thought was going to happen early in the year from the first few games is a complete opposite. Everybody was worried about the defense, myself included. But since the games have been, big-time games, the defense has stepped up and the offense has absolutely not. So it looks like it could be a long year for Auburn if the offense doesn't get righted, if something doesn't just get to clicking. Because Auburn's offense doesn't even look like an offense. It looks terrible. There's no rhythm to it at all. They're not in sync. It's atrocious. But again, Texas A&M was able to move the ball. They just weren't able to capitalize, in the end zone. So I don't think that that's a ode to them that they're not going to be able to finish drives, because we've seen them do it against Notre Dame. I think it was just the type of ball game they were in. They were able to come out and find a way to win. They're a really good football team. They're an undefeated football team right now. Much better than they were a year ago, in my opinion. They got a great roster. Their roster is more talented than Auburn's, in my opinion. They looked really good. They've got some things to correct for sure, but it's nothing major, and they're going to be in the hunt at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. And, to me, obviously wasn't, neither team's best game, obviously, but, A&M's perspective, their offense, after scoring 41 at Notre Dame, you come home, obviously don't click as well, but to me it's a good sign. Like, you've got to be able to win games in multiple ways. You win it with your offense, you win it with your defense, and they've been able to show both of that so far here in these last couple games. And so I take it as a pretty good sign for A&M. Like, hey, you in this league, you may have to win a shootout or you may have to grind one out, and they were able to do that in this game. Like you said, Auburn's offense was abysmal. 0 of 15 on 3rd and 4th downs. Really nothing I can add to it. It's just, it's bad.
Lots of 3rd and longs, behind the chains all day.
Yeah, the offensive line play's been bad. Quarterback play, when it's there, when he has had time, hasn't been able to pull the trigger and take as much advantage as you would like to. They got outgained 414 to 177. You said it's 6 3-and-outs forced by A&M's defense. Both teams had double-digit penalties, so but, like you said, hats off to Auburn's defense for even giving them a chance. Because, think about it. Auburn's offense could have stayed on the bus. Auburn's defense outscored their offense. 7 to, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
It would have been no different if the offense never came on the field.
Outside of the first drive, A&M drove down the field first drive smooth as butter. Outside of that, they really couldn't get anything going. They couldn't finish anything. They had several opportunities, but like I said, they got called back from mistakes by them and penalties. But outside of the first drive, they couldn't get anything going consistently, and that was the most frustrating thing. Is like the defense is giving you chance after chance after chance, and you can't capitalize. That was the most frustrating thing as a fan.
I really thought there was a chance that when Auburn got it back there multiple times and A&M, couldn't put it away, especially after basically the defensive touchdown. I was like, man, Auburn's they're going to find a way to steal this. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're watching the game like, man, they have no business being within striking distance. It's like, man, one drive, you get out of here 17-16, and I thought there was a chance.
I'll be honest, the whole game, I had no faith that they were going to do that. Not at all. After I watched the first 8 drives, I had no faith that they were about to go win that game. It would have shocked me more if they'd have won that game than if there had been an earthquake in the middle of my living room.
Yeah. I've just seen, like I said, I know not this Auburn team, but I've seen Auburn pull some pretty incredible things before, so I guess that was more, not necessarily to do with this team, but it was like, that was more in my mind. I like, man, that looked like a little Jordan Hare kind of deal.
True.
with a tip ball. I was like, man, if they find a way to steal this, man, that'd be something. But yeah, you're right though. They didn't. 1 yard in the fourth quarter. You don't.
Zero identity on offense. Zero identity. Could you tell me the identity of Auburn's offense from an outsider? Could you tell me their identity?
No.
I sure tell, man. Sack. Give up a sack. That's the identity of Auburn's defense or offense.
I mean, the identity, honestly, is a quarterback that is scared to pull the trigger. That's really what it. I mean, like honestly, it's. I mean,
I'm not a quarterback. I can't break down X's and O's, but I know what an open receiver looks like. And I saw several clips from this game where Auburn had several receivers open. Maybe would have been a tighter window by the time the ball got there, but still at least a 50-50 ball with some of the best receivers in the country. And he's holding on to the football. Let it rip, dude. I'd rather you throw an interception and give up the 16th sack next week. I mean, good grief.
Yeah. Well, especially when you got dudes on the outside. Like, man, I mean, you throw a 50-50 ball up to Cam Coleman, that's a 70-30 ball, actually. Yeah. You know 100%. What I mean? Because, I mean, he got several of those against Oklahoma. Like, I mean, you know, he's got to get some chances, man. Because, like I said, he can turn a 50-50 into his favor more times than not. So I think, you know, we talked about it before we started recording and stuff. I was like, I don't know if, to me, it's between the ears, but I don't know if he's just so coached to don't turn the ball over, don't turn the ball over, it's like he's not even turning it loose when it's there. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're scared, that you're so scared you're going to throw a turnover or throw it to the other team that you're not ever turning it loose when you need to. And I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a mental thing, but you know, there were some signs in fall camp, you know, when you're hearing about, well, you know, we're kind of taking it easy, trying to get him some confidence, which obviously, I mean, you want to build your quarterback's confidence, but it's like, I think it was such a, and probably Hugh Freeze would never say this publicly, but now it's like, that was a big deal to take on, because I think he inherited a guy whose confidence was absolutely shattered, and he's been trying to rebuild it ever since he stepped on campus, and it still hasn't happened yet. So I don't know. I can't pinpoint just one thing necessarily. That's just what it feels like and what it looks like when you're watching it, and I don't know how quick or if that can even be rectified this year to make it matter at this point.
If it's not rectified quick or just a little bit better in 2 weeks, it's going to be a long season for the Auburn Tigers. But it's going to be a really good season for Texas A&M. They have a lot to look forward to. They're a really good football team on both sides of the ball. Very complimentary team. Again, they're very balanced on offense. They can do it all. They can win a game multiple ways. So I'm excited to see where this A&M team ends at the end of the year. Another game that was one of the better games of the day was Tennessee-Mississippi State. An absolute barn-burning shootout. Both teams left multiple opportunities in this game on the table. Tennessee should have had a 20-point lead, a 20-point lead at one point in this game. They left 10 points off the board in the first half. They dropped a touchdown pass, missed a field goal. I mean, Mississippi State capitalized on their opportunities when they got them this week. I thought it was a fantastic game. Forced some turnovers. Joey Aguilar made some bad throws, was throwing the ball pretty high all night. Brazel, dude, I don't know how he catches half the balls he's caught this season. He has made some unreal catches. He's a damn good wide receiver. Made a bunch of good plays for Tennessee in this game. But Mississippi State, you let them hang around, especially at home, they're going to find a way to get in it and potentially win it at the end. This is a much better football team than they were a year ago. Lebby has done a fantastic job with this turnaround. I know it's only week one, but, I mean, they're sitting at 4-1, and I did not have them sitting at 4-1 in July when we did our previews. I thought that they handled the noise in the sense of the outside noise of everybody not respecting them. I thought they handled that really well. They went out and they have one turnover, I think? No, two turnovers, because Tennessee scored 14 points off turnovers. They had the tip pass, pick six, and then they had the sack fumble touchdown. So your defense played really well. Your offense gave them 14 points. Mississippi State's offense gave Tennessee 14 points. So you've got to be really pleased with your defense, especially going up against a Josh Heupel offense. Tennessee still stuck with the run like they always do. They ran the ball pretty well, and they took their shots. But Mississippi State's defense held them at bay. I mean, Tennessee had a short field at one point to go up and really pretty much put the game away. Mississippi State came up with a big stop and ended up driving down and I believe tying it later in the game. But Tennessee had plenty of opportunities, and Mississippi State just snatched it from them every single time right there until the end. Had a play in the end zone there in overtime, but just couldn't come down with it. One of the best games when it comes to just absolute fireworks and things like that. Very exciting football game. I enjoyed watching it. I've watched it a couple times now, but I thought that Mississippi State's defense played much better than I expected them to, and Tennessee was able to capitalize on the ball went their way towards the end of the game because they definitely left, I know for a fact, 10 points out on the field before halftime.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, like I said, I took Mississippi State plus the 7.5. I just thought it was going to be a tough fight. In Starkville, the way this Mississippi State team's playing, I don't, think I don't think they got the respect they deserve coming into this game. And, man, they answered the bell and like I said, had a great chance to win it. Both teams did. It was a 4-quarter and plus fight. I mean, you had 5 total turnovers. You had a muck punt early by Tennessee led to a touchdown for Mississippi State. Then you had a pick six by Tennessee. You had a sack and a scoop and score by Tennessee. Mississippi State got an interception in the second quarter that led to a touchdown drive for them. Just back and forth, a tipped interception by Mississippi State in the fourth quarter. So, man, it was a back and forth kind of crazy game. Obviously, it wasn't the cleanest game out there, but it's what you expect. Two good teams going at it, trading blows, able to create some things, be opportunistic at times when the ball's up in the air, being able to come down with it. It was a really fun, entertaining game. And I leave impressed with both teams. Like I said, Tennessee being able to find a way to win it on the road. Like I said, I was not surprised that it was as close as it was. I thought Mississippi State would have a chance to win it outright. They were really close. Both teams left points on the board at times. And not just a really high-level SEC game, I thought. And I think both teams overall got to be feeling pretty good about themselves. I think Mississippi State's proved that they can be in just about every game they play this year. They're going to have a chance. And same thing with Tennessee, finding, if you're looking at Tennessee, like, man, we're one play away from being 5-0, or then you could look on the other hand, man, we're one play away from being 3-2. That's how close the margins are going to be this year. But man, it was a fantastic ball game. Definitely one of the most entertaining of the day.
Yeah, I'm going to let my fandom show here. You guys that's been listening, y'all know I'm an Auburn fan. Just let me grieve. You know how frustrating and heartbreaking it is to watch Auburn's offense and then flip the channel and you watch Tennessee and Mississippi State's offense? I mean, do you know how heartbreaking that is? Just like, look, they can actually run plays and not go backwards. Oh, dude, it's so frustrating and heartbreaking when you got that game going, you look over at this screen, and then there they go, just points. It's like, oh my God. Just, I had to grieve there for a second for being an Auburn fan, but that was, one of the classics for sure. Another game that was a lot of points, really one-sided. South Carolina tries to right the track this week and get back where they're expected to be. They take down Kentucky. Kentucky comes into South Carolina and just takes a butt whipping, honestly. It was close early. And then after that, it was all she wrote. South Carolina, they were just better, head to toe. Lenore Sellers, I felt like they relied on, maybe not relied, but I felt like they used his legs a little more in the offense, and they had that threat of Lenore Sellers taking off and running, was really adamant in the plan this week, and you could tell that it affected Kentucky, and they were able to build off that. I thought their offensive plan was fantastic, and their defense, we've known for a while, is very good, but they really can't keep the defense off the field in their last few matchups. Their offense couldn't really get anything going, so their defense has been out on the field consistently. When you got a little complimentary football going on, that defense looks a lot better. They're a little more well-rested. I thought that they played a great game, the best game they've played so far this year. Lenore Sellers looked back in form, and I think that South Carolina maybe if found their identity as a team, and I expect them to take the next step the next few weeks. Not that they're going to win 9 games now, but I do expect them to take the next step and be able to be in more games because I feel like they found themselves and who they are this week.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Kentucky got off to a decent start. They were up 10-7 in the second quarter, and then the wheels came off. I mean, from that point on, you had a strip sack, fumble for a touchdown for South Carolina. You had immediately a pick six right after that, and then the floodgates were opened at that point. Turnover battle, 4-0, advantage South Carolina. I mean, they didn't light it up offensively. They didn't have to. I mean, 340 total yards is, nothing crazy, but they didn't have to. You know what I mean? When your defense is scoring 14 points for you, forces 4 total turnovers, you don't necessarily, you're not going to have the opportunities to maybe light up the stat sheet offensively. But like you said, played great complimentary football. Thought Lenore Sellers, like I said, played a really, really good game. And like I said, that there in the second quarter, you got back-to-back defensive scores. And at that point, it was over for the Cats. And it's going to be a rough rest of the way for our friends in Lexington for sure. Because offensively, it's next to a 0. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I don't see many wins at all here. That the schedule coming up is just absolutely brutal. You do get a slight breather with Tennessee Tech, but that's not till November 15th. So just brace yourselves, Wildcats fans, because I don't think it's gonna go good, but. South Carolina really solid win. They needed a bounce back win like this after 2 tough losses. A tough one to Vandy and then a close road loss at Missouri. So it was good for them to get back on track and get back in the win column.
Absolutely. Another team, man. We've been talking about it for a few weeks now. The possibility Sam Pittman is out. At Arkansas after a 56-13 shellacking from Notre Dame. The first half alone, Notre Dame had 42, I believe, what the score was at half. Excuse me. Notre Dame could do no wrong on offense on Saturday. Early on, it was kind of a tight little game, kind of like the Kentucky-South Carolina. Early on, Arkansas was able to move the ball down the field. They were scoring. They were trading blows back and forth. Then Arkansas had a fumble. And after that, like you said, the wheels just fell off. They couldn't stop A&M's run game. Jeremiah Love had an absolute field day on this offense. 2 touchdown passes, or 2 touchdown receptions, 2 touchdown rushes. He had all that in the first half, or 3 in the first half, whatever it was. There was no answer that Arkansas had defensively for this offense. Now, we picked the over to happen. The over cashed. We thought it was necessarily going to be more of like a shootout type game, not really just a one team runs away with it. But in the first 15 minutes of ball game, I thought, man, this is going to be a really good football game. And then second quarter on, it was all Notre Dame. And really in the third or the second half, Notre Dame took their foot off the gas. It was over. They put their second string in pretty early in the fourth quarter. Like it was way, and he threw a bomb down the field, by the way, and they ended up scoring their last touchdown. But Notre Dame took their foot off the gas. It could have been much worse than this. Hate to see Sam Pittman go. Bobby Petrino's the new head coach. Full circle moment there. As the interim head coach, he's let go 3 defensive staff guys. The defensive coordinator, the co-defensive coordinator, and the defensive line coach have all been canned. They're out on the curb with Sam Pittman as well. So the writing was on the wall for quite some time, but I did not expect this game to get as out of hand as it did. It was Notre Dame had a turnover, and they immediately scored right after. Got a stop, immediately scored in like 2 or 3 plays, big long drive. It was over quick. They took the wind out of Arkansas early, and it was all she wrote.
Yeah, I mean, I hated to even laugh there, man. Like I love Sam Pittman. I was looking at this box score, and it is, I mean, just a shellacking. Like,
Yeah,
imagine locking it in cruise control in the second half. You put up 641 yards of offense, dude. I mean, just dominated. Like you said, after the first, most of the first, it was 14-3 at the end of the first quarter. Like I said, it was competitive there. Like you said, I thought this was going to be a really high scoring, and Arkansas had chances to put up more than 13. I mean, it would have made a little bit more respectable, but yeah, just kind of some boneheaded plays. Just really, like I said, once it got so far out of hand, too, it's just it was a shellacking. There's nothing else to say. I mean, you kind of knew, like, as the game went on, you got in the second half, and you're like, I kind of thought Sam Pittman may make it a little bit further into the season, but when we got in the second half of this game, it just felt like, yeah, it's probably going to be Wolf's going to be at the door in the morning, probably, because
he was just coaching for fun.
Yeah, for sure. It was an absolute beat down. I mean, not much more we can add to that. Imagine waking up. Imagine going into a coma in 2011 and you didn't wake up to 2025 and Bobby Petrino's still the head coach of Arkansas. I mean, Pete, you would have thought, man, Bobby Petrino, man, he's like the all-time winningest coach at Arkansas, man. He might have a title there at this point. Nope, here we're full circle. Life comes full circle. Bobby Petrino is back in the controls. He's sending dudes packing left and right, which I can't blame him with this defensive staff putting up that kind of performance on Saturday and the way they played this season. So I get that, but it just goes to show you how long he's been gunning for this job ever since he walked in the door. I've been calling it a fox in the hen house situation for quite some time. I'm not there. I don't want to say he stabbed Sam Pittman in the back. I'm not going that far, but I don't trust Bobby Petrino further than I can throw him. You cannot tell me he has not been gunning for this job. The second he got back in that chair, and they released a statement after Sam Pittman gets fired, and they go, yeah, Bobby Petrino is in the running for the job, and he's interested in the job. Shocker of the year. He's interested in the Arkansas head job. So we'll see how it works out, man. I hope Arkansas gets it right for sure because I'm really wishing them success. I hate it didn't work out better with Sam Pittman because, man, I mean, there's not a coach in the country that fit at his job like Sam Pittman fit at Arkansas. Like, I mean, it was as seamless as you could get between coach and program. So he's such a great guy, man. I hate it didn't work out. Hopefully he lands on his feet if he's looking for some more employment, if he wants to go just enjoy retirement and have him a few old cold beers, then I don't blame him there either. So, but we'll see what happens with Arkansas going forward. But yeah, this defense is a mess, so I get why they made the moves, but it was interesting because you usually don't see an interim coach come up and make those kind of changes in the first 12 hours in the chair. But this isn't
usually an interim coach doesn't have that authority to hire and fire staff. He's the interim.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this isn't your ordinary interim, I guess, either. So it's definitely a very unique situation, and unlike anything we've seen in a long time. But yeah, just Bobby Petrino's back, and no pun intended. We'll see if he make sure he doesn't hit the skids again or anything with the team or otherwise. We'll see.
Or if he does, at least actually be by himself this time.
Yeah. So, man, I mean, I love it though. It gives us something to talk about. It gives us some headlines, man. I mean, the SEC, it's football all the time, but it's a little TMZ on the side too. So that's what makes it fun.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. All right, moving into week 6. Kentucky's going to Georgia. 11 o'clock kickoff on ABC. Georgia is a 20.5-point favorite. Usually, when Georgia's a big favorite like this, they don't cover. If they're a 20.5-point favorite, they'll win the game by 20. If they're a 28.5-point favorite, they'll win the game by 28. Like they always get right there to the hook and they never can cover. What are your thoughts on this game this week going against an absolutely dead horse that is Kentucky football?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, my first initial thoughts when I saw the line is I think I'm going to take Georgia minus the 20.5. I mean, coming off a loss, they're back in Athens again this week, going against a Kentucky team that just does not have much offensively at all. Just looks like a prime bounce back spot. I mean, Georgia, we know how they respond off of losses. Like I said, normally I don't normally like taking really big point spreads like this, and maybe it's too obvious that I shouldn't take it, but I just my gut feeling is I think Georgia's going to come out, dominate, take care of business, and Kentucky can keep it close in these kind of spots. I mean, you never know, but I don't know, man. I just have a gut feeling Georgia's going to come out very ticked off a loss, looking to get right again, and I think they handle business here. Regardless if they cover the spread, I think they handle business here pretty big.
The over-under is 48.5 in this game. I'm taking that under. I just don't see Kentucky moving the ball on Georgia. I'm not saying that this Georgia defense is just jam up, but this Kentucky offense is just bad. I don't think they're going to be able to move the football. It's kind of like I felt about LSU against Ole Miss, except worse. And I just don't think that Georgia is going to go out there and score 38 plus. I think Georgia probably wins this game 27-3, somewhere in the ballpark, 28-10, something like that. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Give me the under 48.5 on that game. And then Texas going to Gainesville, facing off against Florida. Texas is a 6.5 point favorite. Over under 42.5. This may be a trend for me this week. I'm going the under 42.5. Florida's defense is really good. Florida's offense, atrocious. Texas defense, really good. From what we've seen against opponents with a pulse, Texas's offense, not very good. I like the under in this game. I really don't. I think Texas will win. Wouldn't shock me if they won by a field goal. I don't think that they're just going to go out there and dominate Florida just because offensively they're not as good as we expected Texas to be and that we have gotten used to Texas being, especially since Sarkisian's been there. I like the under 42.5 in this game, and that's the play I'm going with.
Yeah, I think I'm like you. I think a low-scoring game, and I think Florida keeps it close, honestly. I mean, I don't – like I said, neither offense is Texas isn't Florida level, but they're not really haven't hit on all cylinders this year against quality competition. Florida, obviously, they definitely don't have enough offensively for me to pick them at home. If you would have told me that 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would have thought Florida would have had a good chance to win this game being in Gainesville for what I thought of Florida. Obviously, that hasn't panned out, particularly offensively. So, yeah, low-scoring game. I think Florida keeps it close just because of their defense. And neither team I don't see, pulling away here. So, yeah, give me Texas the line's 6.5. I think that's about right, honestly. I think about a touchdown. I can see Texas winning this 20-13 or 24 to. So I don't even know if Florida can get 17. I was going to say 17. I don't know, 24-14 or something like that. So,
you like Florida? You like Texas to cover?
I think the line's about right. I'm not going to touch it. I think Texas wins around a score, a touchdown, 10, somewhere about there. I'm not confident enough to take it, to be honest with you, but I'm like you. I think Texas wins a low-scoring game, though.
All right. Revenge game. Vanderbilt going to Bryant-Denny, taking on number 10 Alabama. Alabama is a 10.5 point home favorite. Over under 56.5. Vanderbilt's undefeated, 5-0. Alabama sitting at 3-1, coming off a huge victory over Georgia. I don't think, we've covered this a few weeks ago, I don't think Vanderbilt gets them this year. You're not sleepwalking on Vanderbilt this year. I feel like this team, from the turnaround they had from week 1 to this week at Georgia, this team is a very mature team. They're not going to let that win over Georgia cloud them this week. They've already moved on, I'm sure of it. They're not going to be hungover, so to speak, against this Vanderbilt team. They're going to come locked in. They want their revenge back. I don't know about the spread because this Vandy team, they are good. But they allowed Utah State to score 35 on them, and it was no fluke. Now, they had some turnovers and they had some special teams plays that they made for Vanderbilt that allowed them to win 55-35. But there was no mistake that Utah scored 35 on them. Bama is going to be able to move the ball. Utah State marched down the field with ease multiple times. Bama is going to be able to do that. Can Bama stop Vanderbilt? That's the question I'm not sure of. So I'm staying away from this line. However, the way that Vanderbilt operates, they are a ball control club. They are, but they have scored so many points on every single solitary opponent this year. Bama is going to score points. So Vanderbilt is not going to be able to have ball control. I don't know that Vanderbilt can score with Bama, but I think Vanderbilt will be able to score on Bama. So I'm going over 56.5 this week with Bama and Vandy.
Me too. I'm going over 56.5. I feel that. I think the line, I don't know as far as the line. I feel like that's about right. I feel like it's about fair. Honestly, it opened, I think it was like 12.5. So some Vanderbilt dollars have come in here to knock this down a little bit. I feel like that's probably about right, to be honest with you. I think 10's a pretty fair number there. I'm like you, though. I think Bama can really score in this game, especially if they don't allow Vandy to have the ball 40-something minutes like a year ago. I mean, Alabama scored, what was it, 34 or whatever it was last year, and only had the ball like 18 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
As you highlighted too, Utah State was able to have some success. I like the matchup, especially Alabama being at home and the way they've been able to protect the football. I don't think they have a turnover this year yet. I don't think they have one at Florida State, and they hadn't had one in the last 3 games, I know.
Turnover free.
Turnover free. I think that can continue here. The way Ty Simpson's taking care of the football. So I think, like I said, if Alabama can just not let Vandy possess it so long and kind of get the time of possession a little more even, a little more in their favor, I think Alabama's got a chance to score. Honestly, I think Alabama scores 35-40 in this game. I think they could score in the 40s if they have the ball for enough time. And I think Vandy's going to score some as well, especially with Alabama. Number one, have struggled against this team last year, first and foremost. Have struggled against this type of offense a couple times. Like I said, Vandy's playing just really good ball overall, and especially this year. And Alabama's banged up on the defensive front. So those combination of factors, I think Vandy. I mean, if Alabama held them to 21-24, like I would take that right now, 100%. Vandy could score more than that, honestly. So, if you're not careful, so yeah, I'm like you. I'm liking over. I think the over is the play here. I think some points are going to be scored, but I do like Alabama to win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Don't think it's going to be necessarily decisive, but I feel like the line's about right. I think 10-14, maybe somewhere in there. I think it's about right, but you never know with turnovers. They had a couple turnovers last year, and obviously that swung things in Vandy's favor. So, like I said, game day's here. I mean, who would have thought that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Coming to Bryant-Denny for Alabama Vandy. But, like, honestly, if you stuck another logo on this team and the resume they have so far, like, they would be ranked higher than this, honestly. Like, I mean, I think,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. And honestly, the line is probably what it started out was because it's Vandy. You know what I mean? Not necessarily, even though they beat them a year ago, but it's like, if you slapped a Tennessee logo on this team, like at line probably 6.
4.5, yeah.
Yeah, 4.5. So, I like Alabama to win, but I'm like you. I think some points are going to be had here.
And then a game, Mississippi State's going to Texas A&M, 6:30 kickoff. Over under 55.5. I like that over. Not sure if I'm playing it yet, but I am banging Mississippi State 14.5.
I was gonna
The
say
way I just saw their offense play, the way I just saw their defense play against a really high-powered offense. Offense had some struggles for Texas A&M this past week. Obviously, we've covered that. They had their opportunities, but they had their struggles at times against Auburn. Mississippi State can play with this team. 14.5 is way too steep. Texas A&M, I still think I'm picking to win the game outright, but 14.5 is way too steep. Texas A&M is not 2 touchdowns better than Mississippi State. Lock that in now, because that's going to go down.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think A&M wins the game, but I think it's closer than what the number
2
is
touchdowns,
right now.
dude?
I think Mississippi State can come in, have some success offensively. I know they're not particularly great defensively, but I'm kind of like you. I think some points are going to be had here as well. But I'm with you. That was my initial takeaway. I saw the number. I was like, ooh, 14. I was like, man, that's a little steeper than I thought. I was thinking in my mind probably like more like the Bama line, like 10.5, maybe something like that. 9.5, something, in that area. And I saw that 14, or is it 14.5? Is that right?
14.5. Well, I got it at right now on ESPN app.
Man. Yeah, I definitely like that. 38-24, you're sitting in the gold right there. So yeah, I would definitely advise at 14.5 for sure. I love it.
I could see A&M winning by 2 touchdowns. I don't see them winning by more than 2 touchdowns. I just don't.
Yeah,
not with the way the Mississippi State offense moves the ball.
No, I agree totally. I think they're much better on the line of scrimmage, as we've seen too. Which obviously you have to be going against this A&M team, but yeah, I think A&M's definitely the better team. It's in College Station, but I don't think it's that decisive. I think A&M's Mississippi State's gonna hang in there, keep this a pretty close ball game, and I'm definitely excited to watch this one. Really, just want to appreciate everyone for tuning in. Where I was able to hop on with Alexander, who was on during our preview series for a bit, do a betting line stream with a company. He's Doink Sports is who he is partnered with. So that was a lot of fun. We'll next time we hop on and do that again, we'll definitely let everyone know where they can tune in. We'll share it on our page as well. But just be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that. Same thing on TikTok, Saturdays in the SEC. Same thing on X at Saturdays_SEC. Just appreciate all your guys' support. Looking forward to another really fun week, and looking forward to a lot more chaos ahead, because it's certainly out there.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.